Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. My name's Daryl Lim, and I'm your host. Today is the first of 6 episodes featuring my recent tour of Shelter Point Distillery in Campbell River on beautiful Vancouver Island. During this trip, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jacob Wiebe, manager of the Shelter Point Distillery. Today's episode showcases the distillery overview as well as its production process. This was filmed entirely on location at Shelter Point's Visitor and Guest Experience Center. So enjoy today's episode and stay tuned for the next 5 weeks. Before we get started, do me a favor and click the thumbs up button below, share this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. This is your chance to support our friends at Shelter Point Distillery and spread the word about another wonderful Canadian brand. If you're new here, welcome. You can watch and browse all of my other whiskey reviews on this channel. I'm always open to your feedback so we can make this journey even better.
My name is Jacob Wiebe, and I'm the manager here at Shelter Point Distillery.
What's your output here at Shelter Point?
Yeah, so typically we can do 6 barrels a day when we're double shifting. Right now, we're only single shifting. Summer is really hot, hard to run 2 shifts. But we are aiming to put around 900 to 1,200 barrels of whiskey away a year. On top of that, there's going to be 5,000 to 7,000 bottles of gin, 5,000 to 7,000 bottles of liqueur, and 5,000 to 7,000 bottles of vodka as well.
And what's your top selling product?
Artisanal single malt, the core whiskey that's available throughout the year. The limited editions are always really popular, but there's never enough of them to compete. I mean, gin's actually probably number 1 right now because it's been very aggressive for 2021. So,
And what's your personal favorite?
My personal favorite are the PD limited editions, by far.
So that's ones I'm buying.
Yeah, those are anything with peat. I mean, we'll go through the warehouse and we'll see the Ardbeg Barrels, which is really neat, and you can take a smell and we'll pull a sample of a 10-year-old whiskey that's been in an Ardbeg for a month, and I think you're gonna be really surprised at how peaty it is already after 1 month.
Not many of you may know that Shelter Point Distillery is located within a 400-acre farming estate, of which only about half is used for farming and the production of whiskey. The remaining acreages houses residential homes and properties for the owner, his family, and the distillery staff. And how many people work on the farm?
5. On the farm, 3. It's just me, James, and Patrick. The other 2 only, like Leon gets to stay in this building, he doesn't have to leave, and then Tatum just runs the shipping department, so. Yeah.
What message do you guys have in despite or since we're going through this whole almost prohibition?
Prohibition? Yeah, it's the prohibition's been different.
Let's get this message out to everyone.
We had to do way more online stuff, which has been huge for us because we had seen value in online, and Patrick's been yammering on about it for years, but our sales had never been to the point online to fully commit. And then once COVID happened, online we had business without it.
I first learned about Shelter Point Distillery through my involvement with the Barhaven Whiskey Brotherhood, a whiskey club that I belong to, when Jacob hosted a virtual whiskey tasting for us about a year ago. I fell in love with their single cask peat whiskey and realized then that I had to find a way to visit their facilities in Vancouver Island in order to support them and showcase their products on my channel. To date, our whiskey group has been one of their biggest supporters and procurers of whiskey in Ontario.
Right, and that's the majority of where your
Sales are coming from right now. It's online. It's just lots of local support all across Canada kind of supporting us, and we ship aggressively all the way to Ontario, especially lately.
Right, thanks to our group.
Thanks to your group, we appreciate that.
What's one message that you would like to communicate to
People,
your supporters or the people out there? Since we all know that there's that little painful episode you're going through right now.
Thank you for all the support. We wouldn't be here without you, and we're going to be doing a lot more really specific releases for kind of our supporters through like the MailChimp for the 10-year-old whiskey releases, and we're going to set whiskey aside for the groups to make sure that the groups that have been supporting us, like your guys' group, that we can make sure if they want some bottles, they're going to be kind of get first chance to get a crack at it.
And I mean, without revealing too many secrets, what is in production right now or coming down the pipeline that you have as a future product?
Yeah, the stuff in the Ardbeg, and I think the one that's going to be the most unique is going to be the rye. So we put 100% rye that's been in bourbon for 2 years into Ardbeg. We want to put it 2 to 3 years in Ardbeg and have one of the possibly the first 100% rye peated whiskeys, peated finished whiskeys. So I think that's going to be the most exciting long term.
And how long are those matured for?
They're 2 years old right now, but we want to do 3 years in the Ardbeg cask. Maybe 2, depending on how flavorful the Ardbeg.
So possibly like a year, potentially from now.
Year and a half from now, we're hoping.
We have come to the end of this week's whiskey review. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and fellow whiskey lovers. Stay tuned for next week's episode as Jacob gives us a tour of Shelter Point Distillery's Warehouse Number 1, home to more than 1,500 casks. Until then, and wishing all of my Canadian fans a happy Labor Day long weekend. Sláinte.